Hello, welcome to this video. So if you are a software developer, if you have ever written code, you probably know how I feel right now. Just being stuck, debugging, but not making any progress. The question is, what can you do to get unstuck? What can you do to get out of this endless loop of debugging? And today I want to let you in on my secret, on what I do, and give you some tips and tricks to get unstuck and to get out of this loop of death and just continuously debugging stuff. What helps me is taking a step back, right? Going for a coffee, taking a break. I've often found that I was debugging late at night an issue. I couldn't solve it. I went to bed the next morning, sat on my computer, and suddenly I was able to resolve the problem. Right? And that happens quite often. Or you are in the shower and suddenly, oh, okay, let me try this. And maybe it's not the exact solution, but it's close, right? But what can you do if you don't have this extra night, right? And if you have a deadline and you need to get unstuck faster than that? Well, the coffee method still works, right? You can still go to the coffee machine, have a coffee. You might also be able to go for a walk, right? Just get away from the screen, get away from the problem, think about something else. I would not, and that's maybe also a word of advice, just going to, I don't know, YouTube or Facebook might not be the best thing, right? Because then you might end up procrastinating a lot. Of course, I mean, if you go to YouTube, watch my videos, one like this one, that might help you, right? Getting the right impulses. Okay, just kidding. Yeah, take a break, right? If that doesn't work, what might help is talking to someone else, right? Trying to ask someone for help. And I know this might be intimidating, right? Or you might have not a person around if you're working from home, or if you're a solopreneur. That might be really tough, and you don't want to go on Stack Overflow for every question and then just get feedback on how to improve your code with actually not solving the problem, but making it different or looking more prettier stuff. What else can you do? I want to introduce you to my little friend here, the rubber duck, because there is a debugging method called rubber ducking, and this was coined by the book Pragmatic Programmer from Dave Thomas and Andy Hunt. So how does this work? Well, you might have found yourself in a situation where you had a problem, you went to a colleague, you started to explain the problem, you started to explain the context, and suddenly you found the solution. Without even your colleague making one comment or not saying even a word, right? Just the act of explaining helped you getting a better understanding of the context, maybe made you explicitly say what you are doing here, and pointed you just in the area of the issue. And that's what the rubber duck can do for you, right? You can just explain to the rubber duck what you are doing here, what is the context, what are the steps in your code, where is it breaking, or where do you think it's breaking. And the rubber duck is just sitting there, might be nodding with her head, and is not complaining, is not giving any suggestions on whether to use camel case or not use camel case, right? It's just a listener, and that's sometimes all you need to get unstuck. And now, why is it a duck, right? Why is it not a teddy bear or something else? Well, that's because of Dave Thomas, because when he was at the Imperial College, there was a research assistant named Greg, and he carried a rubber duck around with him and set it on the terminal when he was programming, and was exactly using it for the rubber ducking method, explaining to the duck the code. I have also found it's a great way to do code reviews on your own, right? Reviewing your own code, to really working out loud, telling what you're seeing, explaining the code to the rubber duck as an extra quality assurance step that you can do even when you work on your own and when you don't have someone that can review your code. Of course, it is always better to have a second person to review your code, but when you are a solopreneur, that might not be something you have access to, but a rubber duck is something that's easy to get, right? And it doesn't even have to be a rubber duck. I mean, I like my rubber duck, but it can be a teddy bear. It can be your dog. It can be another pet. It doesn't matter, right? I think important is just that it listens to you and it doesn't complain when you talk about your problems all the time, about code all the time, and just listens to you patiently. That's the key attribute that the object has to have. And of course, if you have the chance to talk with a real human being, do also that, right? Don't just rely on the rubber duck. Sometimes it's really good to talk with real people. And also there, I mean, if you have a challenging code review, if you need to explain things to a senior engineer, you might also practice this with the rubber duck in advance, right? To be a little bit more confident, or to just practice explaining your code, because I found that's also something that junior engineers sometimes struggle with, really concisely and in a structured way walking through their code. Okay, so that's the rubber duck technique that you can use to get unstuck whenever you are stuck writing code. If you are interested in more techniques like this, or in general like my videos and want to see more of them, please consider subscribing to the channel, or give me a thumbs up and like the video, or doing both, right? If you feel like it, that is always highly appreciated. Thank you for watching this. If you have other tips or tricks that you use to get unstuck, please comment down below, and I see you in the next video. You want to know the fun part about this rubber duck? This is actually a duck that my children use in the bathtub, and it has water in it. So while I was filming the video, it was dripping and dripping and dripping. So, well, that's life, right?